welcome back to It's All Her, the podcast. I'm your host, Jordy Lucas. I'm the founder and editor of It's All Her. I was an actress in a previous life and I'm a mum to a toddler. I've got a lot going on and I have a passion for helping women live simpler, better lives. This week on the site, home and away star Ada Nicodemu shares her top tips for great hair care, and I share a time-saving hack for your morning smoothie. Now, I'm going to keep it short and sweet for this week's intro because this episode is a long one. If you didn't know, I was on Neighbours from 2009 to 2012, and it was a time in my life. And this week I catch up with Valentina Novakovic. Now, our characters had a lot to do with one another, so Val and I worked really closely for those 3 years, but we found out in this chat that we both had really different experiences, both on the show and then after in America, where we both moved to when we'd finished. Val says at the end of this chat that it was like therapy, and I definitely feel like it was. It definitely brought up a lot of old feelings and memories. Some I look back on really fondly, others not so much, but that's life. And while I think not everyone will be able to relate to our experience of being on this show at such a young age and then moving over to Hollywood, I think it is relatable what we talk about in terms of perhaps walking away from dreams that are no longer serving us, or walking away from a plan that you had for yourself because it's not working, and finding new happiness for yourself. And I think that is really relatable, and I hope that you get something out of this chat. Val and I really enjoyed reminiscing and sharing our experience. Just a bit of a trigger warning, we do cover eating disorders. So if that is something you find distressing, you may want to skip through that part. But here is my chat with Valentina Novakovic. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. We're recording this on a Sunday night. I'm in my PJs. You're getting ready for a day in England. How are you?
Oh, hi, Jordy. Oh, I miss you. It's been, I've been good. I've been fine. Obviously, I've had a bit of the COVID. So I'm just recovering from that. It's actually my last day today in isolation. Honestly, the biggest challenge with this, for me at least, because I've obviously been lucky not to have to go to hospital and all that stuff, is just the mental challenge of staying at home for the whole time, not even being able to go for a walk, get some fresh air. Luckily I have a garden. Most people in London do not have a garden.
No.
No. So I've had, and I'm with my partner Jake as well. So we both have it. We both tested positive. So it just is what it is. Because I was run down anyway. I just had gone from one job to another, and I was like, okay, it must just be me being run down.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's just crazy. It's crazy. And there was 58,000 new cases in the UK the day I got tested.
Do you have to retest before you can leave your house?
Now, how interesting is this? So I'm not going to retest for 90 days at all. So
is that because it might still be shedding?
It's still so I wouldn't be contagious after 10 days, but it's still there might be a chance I can still test positive because of I don't know. I don't do science, but so for 90 days we don't get tested at all. They don't want to bring up false positives. They don't want to risk a positive if it's still deep in my system. But
wow. Crazy.
Which is weird. If I have to travel and have a negative test, for example, I don't know if I can provide that.
Crazy new world. Let's talk about your life before Neighbours. We obviously met in 2009. Was it 2009 or early 2010?
We met in 2010 is when I started, and you'd just been on it for a couple of months. I think.
Yeah. So tell me about your life before Neighbours.
Pre-2010. Should I start from the very beginning? Let's start.
Yeah, very beginning.
Born. I was born in 1990 in Sydney, Australia, to Serbian immigrant parents. So both my parents are Serbian, and my sister, who's almost 10 years older than me, so she was 9.5 when I was born, also an immigrant from Serbia at that time. They moved to Australia 2 years before I was born. So I grew up speaking Serbian in the house with a really super, you've met my parents.
Yeah,
fine. Like really, really Serbian parents. I don't know how better to describe it. Thick accents, the polar opposites of one another. Like my father is really calm and, well, I wouldn't say calm, that's probably not the right word, quiet. And my mum was like eccentric, an artist. Both were software engineers. My father still is. Father. I'm so British. And my sister, who is also an actress.
Yes.
Valentina Novakovic. So then I moved to France when I was 13. No, 11. Lied. 11 for 3 years. Again, that was just my mum and my dad. We moved to a really, really cute little town called Aix-en-Provence. Where I learnt French. I went to this international school, which actually, I mean, I'm still friends with some of the friends, but it was a lot of bullies.
Right.
There was like the French people and the international people.
Wow.
I once got told I stink, but she said it in French. Like literally, like, you stink or she stinks.
Oh my God.
That's why I discovered deodorant.
That's crushing for a young girl to be told.
And she said it in French, like right in front of me, thinking I didn't understand. And I learned French really quickly, but like...
Yeah. Because it's like the best time to learn another language, isn't it, when you're like young?
Yeah, it was like 11 was a good age. I went to a bilingual school, so I could have gone a bit better and went to a full French school, but thank God I didn't, because this French girl was such a bitch. No, I'm not saying all French people are bitchy, but they were pretty bitchy. And so that was an experience in my life. I felt like I really did move around a lot. So when I moved to France and I came back to Australia, I finished school there. So year 10, 11, 12 in Sydney at McDonald College, which is a performing arts school. And that was awesome. Like, that's finally when I kind of realized like acting was actually what I wanted to do. Like, I used to do, and you're not from Sydney, but there's a thing called ATYP in Sydney. I don't know if it still exists. It's Australian Theatre for Young People. And I loved it. I loved acting, from that get-go. I still got photos and it's so fun. And then obviously like there was that, there was the cousin that would make plays with me. And we would I remember this play we once did called Clown in the Bin. So it was meant to be like a spin on Jack in the Box, Clown in the Bin. And I remember...
So artsy.
I remember for some reason we were interviewing Heath Ledger, but we printed a picture of him and cut out the eyes, and I can't remember if I was interviewing him or she was interviewing him.
It's actually a terrifying visual.
Why was there a clown in the bin and then an interview with Heath Ledger? I'm not too sure how they connected, but they probably didn't, and our parents had to sit and watch this crap. So that was brilliant. And then where was I up to? I kind of went a bit back and forth with my life.
So you were at McDonald College.
Went to McDonald College. But my final school play was The Crucible, and that's when I played Abigail Williams. So I didn't even want to play her. I wanted to play Mary, who's a crazy kind of character. I wanted to play something really off, not the kind of leads are normally not crazy characters.
No, yeah,
no. Quite, it's everyone around them that's more interesting.
That's crazy, yeah.
And then I did that, and that's how I got my agent. And that's how then I so I signed with Fleur at Mark Morrissey, who I'm still represented by, who I freaking love. And she she like really took me under her wing, and I had loads of auditions. Then so that was the last year of high school, and the next year I studied architecture.
Yep.
For a year, went to loads of auditions, and then got an audition for Neighbours.
Yes. And who was the character that you auditioned for?
I think her name must have been Summer Hoyland.
Summer Hoyland. Yeah.
It was mental though. I think they weren't going to audition people from like Sydney at all, and they sort of just did last minute. I don't know if they had to. You know how sometimes they have to like audition. And my friend Jess at uni was a massive Neighbours fan, huge. And I was like, I'm going in for Neighbours. She's like, oh my God, you're going to get it. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I never get it. You know, we never get the roles. I just audition for them. No people could get them. And I went in and kind of mumbled my lines multiple times, went out, was like, okay, nah. Got a call, I think it was that evening, to fly out the next day. It was so quick.
Yeah.
Because I think you at this point, I don't know your story and where we like, I feel like you were almost the only one that they wanted.
Well, it's funny that you say that you walked in and felt like you weren't going to get it. I walked into my first audition and saw the girl who played the original Summer.
Holy shit.
So I was like, this is never going to happen. She's going to, you know, get the role. And I think the reason that they opened it up was that they wanted to make sure that they really had seen everyone, because if they were going to recast, they wanted to make sure that they really got it right.
Interesting. It was like, so I don't know. I think I remember coming into the Neighbours studios. This was when I was still doing Summer. I think I did another audition there, and I had to stand next to Jordan.
Yeah.
And they took a photo, and they were taking the photo for height purposes or something like that. And I was like, well, he's so tall. I'm obviously, it's not going to work. It's ironic that they took a photo for that reason, when it's like we both ended up being like our characters.
And so short. We're both so short.
So
like
short.
I am no taller than you.
So that was, you know, always going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I remember staying in a hotel in St. Kilda and then just waiting and having to kind of, I just couldn't, I had to like pace up and down. I was 19, which doesn't seem like that young, but you know, I flew down to Melbourne on my own.
It's huge.
Like, I think I was still 18 even at the time. And I was like pacing, like, but mind you, I still had a uni assignment I was doing. So that evening I was like trying to do this uni assignment and
like waiting for a life-changing call.
Yeah. And I get it. And it was obviously like, okay, you're going home tomorrow, but they'll keep you in mind for other roles. And I was like,
whatever.
Say that time, yada, yada, yada. So I go back to my life, finish my year of uni.
Yeah.
And then I was in the Gold Coast just on a holiday with some friends, and I was eating one of those little tubs of takeaway ice cream.
Yeah.
And my plastic spoon, and I get a call from Fleur, my agent.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they want to, you know, they've just called me and they want to offer you a role on Neighbours as a different character, as actually the rivalry of the character you auditioned for. And I was just, the taste of the ice cream just stopped. Feeling of, I just put that down. I never put down food. I just put that down. And it was that wash over you that you can't, it's like you've won the lottery.
Yeah.
You know, that's the feeling that I've forever been craving again, that moment.
Me too.
Where I stopped eating ice cream. Did you say me too?
Yeah. So when you moved down, I mean, 19, your whole life is relocated down to Melbourne for the show. What are your sort of memories and feelings about your time on the show?
Same question goes to you, Jordy, but I'll, you know, honestly, because although we were there together, I think we had you have your individual like growing up sort of experiences.
Yeah.
But I remember going down there and my mum coming with me, and I was quite a bitch to my mum growing up, honestly. Like I'm so close with her now, but I was so bad to her. Like she came down to move me to Melbourne and I just wanted to go out with like the cast.
Yeah.
Which in one sense, fair enough. But like I had like 3 years to do that.
Yeah.
And I remember I went out the first night and she hates me drinking, and I came back at like 2 a.m. really drunk. I hadn't been out with her, and I think you were there. Like, anyway, so I started off like kind of segregating my mum and and kind of not including her in my growing up in Melbourne. And then I think no one really you don't really know what you're getting into. You don't know what's going to happen. You just think it's like a bit of fun. And really, you are there. Like, acting is a job. It's a dream job for some, and that's fine. But it is a job, and I think I remember the first 6 months. It was really about me having fun as opposed to doing good work.
Yeah.
And like, I remember actually I think I told you this at the time. I don't know if you remember this, but I kind of, because I was so nervous and kind of didn't know. I mean, I don't really want to justify. I don't know why I was feeling like a bit nervous. So I wasn't very good with like communicating with the other crew about things that like I needed or didn't need or whatever. Yeah. So I was pulled up by the producer at the time. And she basically said to me, "You're being a princess. People are saying you're being a princess. You need to kind of rein it in." I didn't know what I was doing wrong. You're young. Like, I was young. I didn't really.
Just when you were saying that you wanted to party and have fun, we were so young. We were we were getting silly amounts of money every week as pay. We were getting invited to these glitzy parties, or we would get into the clubs and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's hard. It would be hard for anybody not to get swept away in that environment. And like, I remember I was the same. As soon as I turned 18, I moved out because I had all these friends that were, 3, 4, 5 years older than me who were living out of home. But I desperately wanted to be like you guys who were a little bit older than me and living in your own house. Whereas in retrospect, I look back and I'm like, you stupid girl, you should have stayed at home and saved your money.
I know.
But at the time,
Yeah, that's kind of the start of it. But I think you're right. Like, Neighbours was thrown into all this money and the glitzy parties and fun and people just like giving you attention and recognizing you on the street, and it was just like our life. It was like our little bubble because we were all doing it. We were all in the same show, all kind of friends. Well, we were friends. We were kind of friends.
We were like a family back then. Like,
yeah, for sure. Like,
we were working together, spending like 13, 14 hours a day together, and then we would socialize together outside of that little, studio.
Just constantly.
Yeah.
You had your, like, I assume you had your school friends. I don't know if you hung out with them much, but we didn't have anyone else.
Yeah. And I did see my school friends, like my girlfriends from high school. I probably didn't put as much effort in with them as I should have at the time. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized the value of like putting in effort with friendships and things like that, because I think for a few years there, I didn't. Probably a lot of people would have just been like us and sort of been in that little bubble of me and
totally.
Yeah. What was your experience like? I remember I really struggled with my body image and my relationship with my body on the show. So what was that like for you?
I struggled big time with my body image. I really, do you know what? Before I got Neighbours, well, actually, when I got it, I remember my friend said to me, literally, she goes, because I was like, oh my God, I need to lose weight. you know.
Mm.
She goes, don't worry, Val, you're not going to be in a bikini. It's not Home and Away. Right? Do you remember my first scene?
Oh my God. Pirate net.
Pirate net. I was in this like bikini top and short shorts, belly out, like tits out. They really loved exposing my tits because I had like big boobs at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, and at the time I was like, okay, whatever. But upon reflection, it was maybe too much.
Yeah.
You know, first day.
Take the top off.
That was so scary. You know,
I actually remember thinking that you looked like you were uncomfortable.
I think
in
even
those
like the footage now, it probably makes me. I probably look like I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think it takes a bit more than your first acting job to feel comfortable doing that. If you ever feel comfortable doing that.
There were comments and things like that because you and I both had boobs. We had boobs. And I had a bit of a bum but not even a bit of a butt. Like I look back now and I'm like, you were still a size 6, Jordy. What are you talking about? But there was little comments here and there just to keep you in check.
I had that internally so much that I don't think if other people said that to me, it'd be like, I know I need to lose weight, you know, or something like that in my own head. I mean, it's terrible for anyone, let alone like you're trying to do a job that requires your face and your body to be a moving image.
Yeah.
And you're trying to work. And you're being told all this. So, and you're trying to react.
And you're 17 years of age.
To make it look real. And you're 17.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really odd profession.
It is.
And I think, I don't know, because I haven't acted in a while, but I'm hoping that the industry's gotten a little bit better since we were on. I think it was a bit old school.
I mean, really. I still look at those 3.5 years and think, my God, they were like some of the best years of my life. It was a time in my life. Like, I don't know if I would, if we were to go back and go on that show for another 3 years, it would be a completely different experience. But those years, they were incredible.
Definitely. I mean, it was sort of our uni. Like for all of us, it was our uni experience, and a lot of people have. Like, I had a year of uni. You didn't go to uni.
If you were to go back now, what would you do differently, or how would you approach that situation differently?
I mean, I would love it.
Yeah.
But I would love it because I go, you know, like the stuff that I complained about, the stuff that I worried about back then, you know, especially my body image. I feel like I've conquered that a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're getting older, and I think that the body image stuff, like I know I keep going back to it, but it consumed who I was, and it consumed me. Like I binge ate. And then I would like over exercise, and it was just this constant, and I had no space in my brain to think about anything else and to actually be in the moment and to actually enjoy my experience, which I didn't obviously enjoy, but it was eating away at me. Like
I had no idea that it was that bad.
Really?
I knew that there was some stuff going on, and I knew that like you were restricting, and then sometimes that you would maybe like binge, but I don't think at the time I fully understood maybe what binging was, but I really didn't know that it was like, so it was consuming you that much that you felt like you couldn't enjoy your experience.
Yeah, well, upon reflection, like it did consume me. Like, yes, I was able to enjoy my experience. Maybe that's the wrong way, but I think I could have been more present with it in a sense. Because when it comes to food and me, it was because I'm not a big, you know, I never like was, you know, I haven't gained so much weight that I become like overweight because I'm a very skinny person, and I'm, you know, but the mentality of it doesn't matter. I felt like an overweight person, and my brain functioned like half the day as an anorexic and half the day as a binge eater. So it's like it was always my life, my kind of days revolved around what I was going to eat and then what I was going to exercise. I used to do 2 back-to-back gym classes on Saturday mornings, and I used to go to fitness class all the time after work. Like it was so, and it's fine. Like fitness is fine. I still love it and do it, but I don't, I don't overdo it, and I don't do it to counteract something that I've done.
Yeah.
Inverted commas wrong.
I have a real issue with people posting, and I wonder if this stems from maybe a bit of our time on the show, because I didn't suffer with it to the extent that you did, but yeah, it was definitely like on my mind a lot. And nowadays I have such a problem with people posting about diets or pushing certain diets, or even talking about food as if it's a reward or something that we should punish ourselves if we've eaten something guilty. Like I have such an issue with that now. It can be so damaging to someone who might not be in a great headspace. And like social media wasn't even around really when we were on the show. It was like Twitter. Instagram wasn't even around.
It wasn't.
Like imagine being in that headspace and then reading comments about yourself, because people would have had bad things to say about us.
Thank God we didn't have massive social media back then. I don't know how I would have been able to handle that. I don't know how people do it these days. Like,
and there was no like human resources. There was no one like, if there was an issue, or there was no designated person that, if something happens, this is the person you go to.
Yeah, no, definitely wasn't. Nope.
Yeah. I wonder if that's changed.
But look, I think all in all, like Neighbours had, I spoke so much about like my food stuff, but I did have so many fun times.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like hoagies, even like the like freaking meeting Mel B at the races.
I know, like what was our life? Let's talk about leaving the show.
Yeah.
So your experience was a little bit different to mine. I wasn't given a choice leaving the show. I was part of a mass cull of about 10 or 11 actors that were cut out. And then you were planning on leaving a couple of months later anyway, weren't you? So we wrapped up like...
Yes. So what had happened was we all signed, I think, I'll speak for me, and I think that you're the same, but I signed a 2-year contract at first. I never thought I was going to do the full 2 years. I thought I was going to do 2 years, and like, snobby me was like, I'll do other things. I'll go to America. And like, I don't need any more than that. Anyway, and then I was offered another 2-year contract.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. I just did not want to do it. Like I remember crying to my agent. I was just like, I don't want to do 2 years. I just want to do 1 year. And they gave that to me. And then I think, I don't know why I was so keen to leave. Like I think that does go to show that I just wanted to like get out of there a little bit as well. I didn't know, like I probably thought I was better than that or something. I don't know. I don't know why I was so keen to leave, because upon reflection, why would I have let? I didn't want to.
Yeah. I think we were all pretty itching to get over to America at some stage, though. That was like the natural progression of what you would do. And I think that was the direction we were all going to go in.
And then I think I think we all kind of left at the same time. Like I remember Natasha left, or Tash left with Andrew in a taxi to Europe. Yeah. Well, the taxi to the airport to Europe. And how did your character leave?
She went to France.
Right.
She got some journalist a job as a journalist in France or something. But I remember the day that I got told that they weren't renewing my contract, and I was on Chapel Street with Gemma, and my agent was trying to call me, and he was calling, and I said to Gemma, I bet it's that Neighbours are getting rid of me. And she was like, don't be so stupid. And sure enough, he was like, yeah, it's not good news. They're not renewing your contract. And I was fucking devastated, like cried myself to sleep, was so upset. Even though I was kind of planning to leave, I probably still would have done a year or two.
Mm.
And I felt so shit about myself, so rejected. And
Mm.
then, not that it made me feel better when other people
Hmm.
lost their jobs as well. Like it was not a nice time, but it kind of did ease that feeling a little bit when it was like, okay, they're shaking up the whole show. This is not just about you personally, like them
Mhm.
hating your character and hating you and wanting you out. It was like a bit of a shake up. But were we all in LA by January for pilot season?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy beast in itself.
Yeah.
What were your expectations versus reality of auditioning and trying to get a job in LA?
God, everything about LA seems such a loaded question because there's so much, and I think you and I had different experiences, so I really want to hear about your perspective on it as well.
Yeah.
Because I got there, I thought I was going to be Margot. I was like, well,
Yeah.
she's from Pan Am, that was easy. Margot left. What? She went straight to LA when she'd finished. She got Pan
Yeah.
Am. And she was like, oh yeah,
It
no,
was
I'm just
on. Yeah.
with Christina Ricci. And I was like, oh cool, I want to be with Christina Ricci as well. Like, great, yeah, cool. Because I was like, I think my character also came on to like be the replacement of the blonde character on Neighbours.
Yeah. So you kind of felt that you were just going to follow in her footsteps a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, I've got this. It's
Yeah.
fine. Not that like not really following her footsteps, but also just like, oh, it seemed so easy
Yeah.
what that gave me.
Yeah.
Particularly because also I think like my sister was working and Reese was working and
Yeah.
I think a couple of people I knew were working. So I was like, oh yeah, and I'm
It's
like,
not too far out of reach. Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one that doesn't make it. Like that's not me.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be me. It's going to be someone else.
Mm.
As selfish as that is, I was just like, nah, it's not me. So I got there, and I had my sister in town. I had my friend Reese in town, and so it felt straight away. And I had like a couple of other friends, so it felt straight away that I was okay. But the first couple of months, like I had a big agent. I was with like a big management and a big agent, and they straight away signed me. I got like loads of pilot season. And I was going for it. I was just going for it. And that's when
Yeah.
I started. I also then, I couldn't figure out how to balance like fun with my work. So I was excited to be in this new city and then also trying to do auditions every day.
Yeah.
And it was hot meat. So I was getting every audition and getting into the room for everything.
Yeah.
And I don't remember getting like crazy amounts of like callbacks.
Yeah.
But I didn't book anything for my first pilot season, that's for sure. Well, we know that because done it by now.
Here we are. Yeah.
And then, but like trying to sum up this story because there's a lot here. But I got dumped by both my agent and my manager after the first pilot season of not getting something.
Yeah.
And mind you, at this point I didn't have an O1 visa, so I was going back and forth from Sydney to LA.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then so they, on my second trip back, they basically let me go. And then I signed with a new manager, and a lot smaller manager as well.
Yeah.
So I still felt like I was in the game though quite a bit. It's like, I know that I'm not I always knew that I wasn't a shit actress. There was something that I was sort of missing, and whether it had been, me in the room.
I personally just feel like I was too young. I feel like I went there, I was way too young. I probably wanted it way too much. Like I was fucking desperate. And I think like I would never go back in a million years. But if I was to go back now, who knows what would happen. I probably still wouldn't book anything, but I'd be a lot more centered in myself and more grounded.
Why would you not go back in a million years?
Oh, well, I've got my daughter now.
Oh, oh,
um,
you haven't.
um,
You're a mother.
yeah, I know. That's weird. Um, I mean, it's just probably not as big a passion for me as what it
Mm,
was.
mm,
Um, when we were in that environment and over there, every day was about how can I actively pursue this career? What can I do today that's going to like make me better? Working on the accent, meeting people, or going to acting classes. Whereas now it's just like not, yeah, at the forefront of my mind anymore. And I think a lot of it was like a coping mechanism in a way, because towards the end of my time in LA, I was so miserable. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is not living. This is not, and how long can you really go on like this? Is it ever going to be worth it? Are you ever going to land that role that you want that's going to make this existence worth it? And I just thought it's just not. And I just felt like I needed to get out.
mm.
Why did you leave?
So I had like a really good experience in LA, if I'm
Yeah.
honest. When I say good, I mean I found a good experience. Like I managed to find improv comedy at UCB, and I
Yeah.
managed to find like a group of people that were just genuinely hard workers. I'm not saying that all my Australian active friends there were a whole other group, and they were amazing, and I loved them, and like it was
Mm.
nice to have that Australian community as well. I met some like of my best friends in that time as well.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm so grateful for everyone, but particularly the improv world kind of made me go, oh, LA isn't. This is just a different side of LA. Like this is
Yeah.
people who write and create their own shit and who are just there because they love it. Like
Yeah.
most of the people that like I went to like sort of same generation of UCB are
Mm.
like doing so well.
Yeah.
Probably more than like the Australian clan that kind of went there.
Yeah.
And it's just because these people, I mean, I guess they're also Americans, so that kind of helps.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I found that community, it was really great. And then I think the reason I left, big question. So my lifestyle there was really great. I had my sister, which I live with here and there. I
Mm.
lived with her for a year, lived with her for like a couple months here and there, so didn't pay rent.
You were
And
well
then,
connected over there.
yeah,
Like
I
I
was
was not.
lucky. I was really
Yeah.
lucky. It was
Yeah.
really well, yeah. See that was what makes our experiences fairly different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but having said all that, like I think I started. Well, I didn't think. I started to realize that me living in other people's houses whilst I'm nannying a family who I adored and still
Yeah.
do, it wasn't the life I wanted. I didn't want to feel like my success was other people's like success.
Yeah, right.
I need to build my own because I'm not getting where I want to be in acting. I did a couple of like Lifetime movies.
Mm.
I did like a film in England, and it was sort of picking up at this one point. I did like 3 things in 1 year,
Yeah.
and it felt really good. And
Yeah.
then when that sort of dissipated again, the best way to describe it for me was I felt like LA was going to. I was getting to a point where it was like really my I was feeling like this is how I describe it to people. It's a really weird analogy, but it's like you're about to throw up, right? And so
Yeah.
you're about to throw up, and you know that all you need to do is run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like if you stay where you are, you're going to throw up all over yourself. Right? But you just go to the bathroom, you throw up, and it's come back to your seat.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was Australia for me. Was like I needed to, before I exploded and got really like mentally unstable, I
Yeah.
needed to reset, and I was always going to go back to LA.
Yeah.
And that was at the end of 2017. So I basically lived there for 5 years at this
Yeah.
point. 5 years.
When did you move to London then? Why did you move to?
So I decided, because everything, because I was growing up and I was like, I don't know if I can go live back in that lifestyle. Like, I don't know. No, I love it. And I still like, you know, have very fond memories of it. And I went, why don't I try working in production, right?
Yeah.
On the other side of things. And I'll do that in London because there's more work in London and I could get a visa in London. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go try other things. I'm going to go to London, try behind the scenes, and I'll go there for 6 months and see how it goes. And I'm still here and I'm still working on behind the scenes. Well, yeah, that's where I'm at.
And so do you still like, do you still have an interest in acting?
I don't think I will ever lose my interest in acting. I think it's really embedded in me. And I think, and look, maybe it's because I didn't succeed in it in the way I wanted to. So it will always be something that like I hold as something I still want to, I would love to succeed in, you know, like it was what I thought the rest of my life was going to be. You know, for 10 years, I was like, I'm going to be an actor for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that sort of prediction changes, and
it's your identity as well.
It's so true.
Like I did go through a bit of a grieving process of like, who am I when I'm not trying to hustle and be an actor? Like, what else do I like doing? What else am I interested in? And I'm the same as you. Like, if I got a call tomorrow being like, you've got a role on whatever, I would do it. But I can't. I had to make a conscious choice to walk away because it was doing too much damage to me. Like, I couldn't. It was just like the constant no's and the constant guessing or trying to work out what I might have done wrong in an audition, or, you know, just constantly trying to analyze. And then if I got close to something and I didn't get it, like that, I just found that roller coaster too much. And I just thought, this is not sustainable. Like, I've always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted that in my life as well. And I just thought, this is not, I can sit in this and I can stay in this part of my life forever. But, you know, then I'm not going to be able to have the other parts of life that I want. Like, I really wanted to be a mum. And I thought, how am I going to be a mum if I'm like hustling in LA trying to be an actor? You know what I mean? Like, and like, there's no regrets. Like, I don't regret leaving at all. I wonder sometimes like what life would have been like if I just stayed there for one more year. Like, could something have happened? But yeah, the psychological part of it was too much for me. What does life look like for you now then? So you're working production side.
I'm working production side. I am currently assisting a director. So it's really interesting to see how much kind of we've been working together this whole year on like another production, and now we're doing a new production together, and he's great. It's just really, I learned so much from him and being on that side and seeing how a show is made, as opposed to just kind of stepping in on the day that you're shooting a scene and learning your lines. And so it's I love this side. Like, I want to produce. I want to be able to. And I never would have even known this had I not kind of taken a step away from, well, a leap away from acting, which is funny because the actors are right there, like, where like I communicate with them and I'm like, do I wish that I was like them?
Yeah.
They'll do a scene. I'll be like, oh, do I? And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I love what I'm doing. I really, really do. And I miss acting. I can't take away like something that's like in bed, like stuck in my heart.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's never too late.
No, it's not. So a couple of listener questions came in. Number one, If you had to choose, what other character would you have played on Neighbours?
God, Neighbours was so long ago. I need to be
I
reminded.
know.
Oh no, I do. I have to. I really liked my character.
The only one I would have thought of was like Paul Robinson or a villain. Like it would have been fun to do. Like
I was thinking Paul Robinson.
yeah, just like mess shit up.
Yeah, Paul Robinson's a good one.
Yeah. Someone else asked, what else have you been up to since Neighbours? But we've covered all of that.
Wait, who would you have rather played?
Yeah, I think Paul Robinson. That's the only one. Like, I loved playing Summer. Yeah, the only thing that would have been fun was doing like some badass stuff, plotting. Yeah. Who do you keep in touch with from the show?
Oh, I actually keep in touch with quite a bit of people. So Ash, Brewer, always. Margot, pretty often. When we're in the same city. That's about it. So many people, Margot and Ash.
So many. We're all in different parts of the world now, though. Life has taken us all.
Yeah,
and very different. Yeah.
Like yeah. But you know, no, primarily Ash and Margot definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like Saskia a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But just I was in touch with her loads. Gemma.
Yeah, Gem. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to Gem quite a bit.
Yeah.
This one made me laugh. This question: who was Andrew better suited to?
Oh. Oh God. I'm gonna say Tash.
She won in the end.
I
don't know. I think there was merits to both of them. I always thought there was a character that I thought Summer should have gotten with. I can't even remember who it was now. Oh, I always thought Summer and Zeke would have been good, but then Matt left. But I always thought if Matt Workmeister had stayed, Summer and Zeke would have been a good couple.
That's really true, actually.
Yeah.
Really true.
Last question. Would you return?
I mean, we sort of covered that, but
yeah. I think it would be a completely different experience, but it would be like
hilarious if like, and I was talking to Ash about this actually. We were half joking, but Ash and I were saying that if we like all returned kind of together, like people just like came back. How fun would that be?
It would be so fun. It would be amazing to just like it would be a very surreal experience to be like back in that environment.
And we should start a petition. Bring Summer, Tash, and Kate
and
back.
Kate Ramsey back.
I mean, if someone starts a petition, I'll sign it.
Oh, yeah, look, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. Well, Val, thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. It's been so nice to catch up and reminisce and share our experiences. And for the listeners at home, where can they keep in touch with you? On Instagram?
Oh, Jordy, it's just, first of all, it's been so nice. So
I know.
So catch up with you and talk all this through. It feels like therapy.
I know.
Listeners, I'm at Val Novak on my Instagram, and that's probably the best place for me because my Twitter keeps not letting me back in. So at Val.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you so much, Jordy.
Oh, I told you, we go some places in that chat. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of It's All Her. I hope you've enjoyed it. I absolutely loved recording this one. It's been one of my favourite episodes to date. If you have loved it, please rate, review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and I will be back in your ears next week.